That's going to be big for us this year, especially on the offensive line, picking up each other and making sure we're gelling as one football team. We're trying to keep that going. Everybody's trying to get better, working harder than I've seen us work in the past couple years.
Well, that was back in 2009 when Mike Johnson, two-time All-American at Alabama, was at Media Days. And what better way to talk about Media Days coming up on Monday than have Mike Johnson in studio with us right now. So glad to have you with us. You look at yourself back there 8 years ago, and you said the word cringeworthy.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. It's one of those things where they take you. I haven't done a lot of interviews when you're a part of Alabama's football program. It's very limited what they allow you to do. So wearing a suit, getting out there in front of everybody is just one of those things you're not quite comfortable with when you're 21 years old and just playing football.
So being in the media now, and you think back to that in 2009, it's a different world for you. What is it like when you go to be a player at Media Days? What is your goal when you get there?
Yeah, your goal is just not to mess up. It's not to get chewed out by Nick Saban when you get back from Media Days, and make sure you say nothing that's going to be a headline. And that's really the end goal for a lot of these guys. Maybe that's more the offensive lineman coming out of me than anything, but you just want to make sure you blend in. You don't want to say anything outlandish. You want to talk about your teammates. You want to represent your team very well, and that's what I tried to do in that clip. I don't know if it came off very good, but that's what my goal was that day.
Well, you guys won a national title that year, so that works pretty well. When you go there, the first thing that pops out to me is how tedious it is. You're there for 4.5 hours. You've got 20, 30 interviews to do. What do you actually enjoy about that?
Yeah, no, there's not a lot enjoyable. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, when you show up, you're not really sure what to expect. They just say, hey, it's going to be a long day. Hey, we're going to take you to lunch afterwards, but make sure you're in for the long haul. You go Radio Row, you go into a couple of different ballrooms. There's microphones in your face for 5 hours. You're doing, back in that day it was CSS, and then you're doing CBS and ESPN. It is tedious. That's the best word for it. But it's a rewarding experience because you feel like you get to be the face of the program for just a little bit.
And then you went to practice. That was probably the worst part afterwards. What did you not like about Media Days?
What I didn't like is answering the same question over and over again. It's like, hey, listen, I just talked about that in the last room. I don't want to have to answer for ESPN and CBS and everybody else that's asked me this question. Running through that gauntlet, having to answer the same question 20, 25, 30 times, it gets old after a while.
Well, Nick Saban's a master at Media Days. Has been doing it since 2007. And last year, Mike, you may not have seen this clip, but he and I had a little bit of a, let's call it a confrontation.
You've reiterated Jalen Hurts as your starter, but people even want to keep saying that there's a quarterback controversy. Bozeman put it best a few minutes ago.
You're the only one saying that.
No. Bozeman put it best.
Create it right now.
No, Bozeman put it best saying that they want drama.
That. All right, so I don't know who's saying that.
Yeah.
All right, so it's like me saying somebody said it's going to have a hurricane outside today. Is that right or wrong? It's just, I just said it. So that means I created something. But we're not going to tolerate people making stuff up. All right, just create interest. I was waiting for that one, man. That was like a hanging curveball.
You have to find storylines for Media Days. We know Nick Saban's going to get the quarterback question this year. What do you think is going to be the big moment for Saban this year he's got to answer over and over again? Is it the quarterback situation?
I think it's definitely the quarterback situation, and Nick knows that. Coach Saban's coming in, he's more prepared than anybody in the history of Media Days, right? He's getting alerted as to what questions might come his way, but you've heard it all offseason. Everybody wants to talk about the quarterbacks. Everybody wants to talk about Jalen. Everybody wants to talk about Tua. I think Coach Saban knows that that's going to be the first question on the docket. I guarantee you he's teed up just like he was last year.
So Gus Malzahn, it seems like every single year since, let's call it 2014, 2015, he's been on a so-called hot seat. Well, he's got a new situation this year.
Yep.
What's his deal going to be? What does he have to answer over and over again?
Well, he's probably going to be answering questions about that new deal, the contract extension, any pressures that come along with the contract extension. And plus, he is getting rid of a ton of players off last year's football team. They're having to deal with a couple of new offensive linemen, a completely new running back committee. He's going to get a number of different questions, but I guarantee that new deal is going to come up a few times.
Yeah, so we've got, it's incredible, 6 new coaches in the SEC. We just counted before the show. Who are you most interested to see?
Maybe it's just a personal thing, but having played under Jeremy Pruitt at Alabama, having watched his kind of rise through things, seeing his Alabama twang, obviously being from up near Fort Payne, I really can't wait to see Jeremy Pruitt get in front of the cameras, experience Media Day like he's never experienced it before. Seeing that kind of twang come back through Jeremy Pruitt and hopefully trying to get Tennessee back to where they belong.
He won a national title back in 2009. He's Mike Johnson, also going to join us for SEC Media Days next Wednesday when Alabama takes the podium. Mike, thanks so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.